Welcome, everyone, to another video. Today, let's talk about loneliness and how we can face this situation. In this video, I'll be discussing two key concepts, loneliness and solitude. The latter being a more refined and empowering version of being alone. First, let's explore loneliness. When we are surrounded by people, living with them, interacting with them, or involved in relationships, we usually feel happy, content, and joyful. But when those people are no longer around, when they leave us, or when we are separated from them, we often experience sadness, depression, and a sense of being uncared for. This is the feeling of loneliness. If we analyze this emotion closely, we'll see that our happiness was tied to the presence and behavior of others. In other words, we handed over the key to our own happiness to other people. So, when they exit our lives, when they distance themselves, or when relationships fade, we become sad, depressed, and feel as if no one cares or is there to support us. That's the core of what we experience during loneliness. So, how do we deal with this? This brings us to the concept of solitude. The Supreme Buddha advised monks to practice solitude, to embrace being alone as a form of inner strength. Now, let's compare loneliness and solitude, so you can better understand the difference. In loneliness, you're waiting for someone to come into your life and make you happy. This means your happiness is dependent on others. But in solitude, you strive to find happiness within yourself. When you discover that inner happiness, you no longer need to depend on anyone else. Your contentment becomes self-sufficient. That is the power and practice of solitude. When you are in solitude, or simply when you are alone, it is different from being lonely. Many people misunderstand these two concepts. Loneliness is often associated with sadness and lack, while being alone in solitude can be empowering, peaceful, and fulfilling. In solitude, you are not seeking joy from external sources. Instead, you are discovering peace from within. The Buddha teaches us to reframe loneliness, not as something negative or sorrowful, but as something beneficial and positive. So, how can we turn loneliness into something positive? When you are alone, you have more time for yourself. You gain greater freedom to reflect, to think deeply, and to care for yourself. It is an opportunity to practice meditation, focus on your mental and physical health, and engage in self-development. You can use this time to improve yourself, both inwardly and outwardly. When you use your time, when you use that loneliness for meaningful and positive things, you begin to develop a healthier outlook. You become more positive, and as a result, you no longer experience those feelings of sadness or depression. Let me share a short story about how even the Buddha himself experienced loneliness. This incident took place before he attained enlightenment. At that time, we refer to him as the Bodhisattva. During that period, the Bodhisattva was practicing self-mortification for 6 years. He subjected his body to extreme hardships and engaged in intense meditation in the forest. Throughout this period, 5 monks were supporting him, believing that these severe practices would lead to enlightenment. After 6 years of this harsh discipline, the Bodhisattva came to a realization. Enlightenment cannot be achieved through self-mortification or by inflicting extreme suffering upon the body. He understood the need for a middle path, a balanced approach. So, he took his alms bowl and went to the nearby village, where he received food to nourish himself. He recognized that in order to meditate effectively, He needed physical energy. However, the 5 monks who had been assisting him were disillusioned. They believed that enlightenment could only be attained through self-mortification. And when they saw the Bodhisattva eating food, they lost faith in him. They assumed he had abandoned the path and would not reach enlightenment. As a result, they left him. Now, our great Bodhisattva was completely alone. Deep in the forest, no one was there to help him. No one cared for him. And no one even knew he existed. But he did not see that solitude as something depressing or negative. Instead, he thought, now I have more time for myself. I can meditate freely. There's no one to distract me. No one to judge me. I must use this time for my own self-development. That was the mindset of the great Bodhisattva. And it's the same approach we should take when facing loneliness. If you are feeling lonely, if you're currently going through a phase of isolation, use that time wisely. It is a valuable opportunity to build a better version of yourself. With more time to yourself, you can meditate, establish a self-improvement routine, exercise, go for walks, spend time in nature, read books, or learn something new. All of these things can be done when you are alone. So instead of feeling sad or depressed about your situation, why not feel grateful for the time you have to grow? Practice this mindset. If people come into your life, let them come. If people walk away from your life, let them go. But you must remain with yourself. You must care for yourself and prioritize your own development during this valuable time. I hope you now have a better understanding of the difference between loneliness and solitude. So, practice solitude, and use it to make your life better. Take care and see you in the next video.